Hey Bobcats, I hope you're doing well. Yesterday we talked about alternate interior and alternate exterior angles. I'm going to quickly run through that and remind you of some vocabulary that you learned earlier in the school year. And then I have one new term to share with you today. Okay, so alternate exterior angles, it's angles that are on the outside of your parallel lines, so out here, and they alternate. So this would be a set of alternate exterior angles, and this would be a set of alternate exterior angles. If we're talking about alternate interior angles, then this angle 3 and 6 would be a set of alternate interior angles, and 4 and 5 would be a set of alternate interior angles. Hopefully you're pretty good at those angles by now because you did that yesterday. The next thing I want to talk about, which you should be well aware of, is supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So if we're going to talk about supplementary angles, let's list some pairs out here. Okay. There are a whole bunch of sets of supplementary angles. I'm just going to list a few, okay? So if you're looking at this, we can say that angle 1 and 2 are supplementary. You could say that angle 2 and angle 4 are supplementary. Okay, you could see that 5 and 6 are supplementary. And you're probably seeing many, many more that are supplementary, but we don't need to list them all out. I'm just giving you an idea. Another type of angle that we learned earlier in the year is vertical angles. So let's list a few pairs of vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are angles that are created by two intersecting lines and they're opposite each other. Okay, so I have this angle that I've created on tissue paper, and we can see that angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical angles. Okay, so these two angles that are opposite of each other are considered vertical angles. So we can say angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical angles. So what we know about supplementary angles is they add up to 180 degrees. Vertical angles, we know that they're congruent, or they have the same measure. Okay, let's list another set of vertical angles here. You can see 7 and 6 are vertical angles because you have this line and this line intersecting. So angle 7 and angle 6. We also see that 5 and 8 are vertical angles. They're intersecting. They're created by intersecting lines. And they're directly across from each other. And I can list all 4 because there's only 4 sets. The last one is 3 and 2. Okay? These two lines right here intersect, creating those two angles. And they are considered congruent vertical angles. Okay? Another review of vocabulary is adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are angles that are right next to each other. They share a line. So for example, if you look here, angle 7 and angle 8 are considered adjacent angles because they share one line. So we can say angle 7 and angle 8 are adjacent. There's no way that any of the angles down here could be adjacent to the angles up there because they have to share a line, and none of these do. And I'm not talking about sharing this line right here where 3 and 6 could be adjacent. They can't be because they have to have the same vertex too. So see this point right here for 7 and 8, they share that vertex, okay? You could have one, you could say that 1 and 3 are adjacent. There's a lot of adjacent angles. And for this particular case, all the angles that we listed for supplementary are also considered adjacent. Because we're using supplementary angles that are connected to each other, which makes them also adjacent. Another set of adjacent angles would be 2 and 4. Okay, they're connected by this, they share a side and they also share a vertex. So angle 2 and angle 4. So then the last thing that we're going to go over is the new one that you've never heard before, and that is corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles. Now I'm going to use this tissue paper again. So here's angle 1. The angle that's corresponding to angle 1 is the angle that's exactly the same in the same location on the other parallel line. So if I slide this angle down the transversal, it's supposed to slide, it's not sliding. If I slide this down, there we have it. There's the corresponding angle to angle 1. So angle 5 and angle 1 are considered corresponding because you just slide down that transversal, and they are considered congruent. Okay, so the first set of corresponding angles that we can note is angle 1 and angle 5. Okay. The next set of corresponding angles, I don't have tissue paper for this, but you can see angle 2 right here. If we slide down the transversal, the angle that's exactly the same on the other parallel line is 6. So we can say that angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. There's a few more too. There's a couple more sets. We've already done 1 and 5, 2 and 6. So let's do these underneath angles right here. So angle 3, if we're going to slide down the transversal, we're going to land right here on top of 7. So we can say that angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding. And we have one more set. I can use my tissue paper for this. Okay, we have angle 4. If we slide angle 4 down the transversal, you can see that we land right on top of angle 8. So we would consider angles 4 and 8 to be corresponding angles. All right, so today for IXL, all you're going to be doing is identifying different angles. So they're going to give you a pair of parallel lines and a transversal, and they're going to have you identify which option is vertical angles, which option is supplementary, adjacent, corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior. So I recommend having something in front of you, writing the stuff down so that you remember when you do get to that IXL code. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great day, Bobcats.